Ivan Ramonat, the son of prolific USSR weapons developer, grew up in Lithuania during the Cold War, when the United States sent a team of superhumans led by the world's first agency to disrupt the creation of a Soviet doomsday device. The resulting conflict left young Ivan an orphan. Years of fending for himself and picking up the pieces of his father's work warped Ivan into a cold-hearted, power-hungry dictator known as Baron Blade. Eventually, his quest for vengeance brought him to Megalopolis, where he suffered numerous defeats at the hands of the Freedom Five. While the nature of their feud has escalated over the years, one thing has remained constant: the Baron's obsession with revenge against the Parsons family and his hatred for America's beloved legacy. Now, after finally perfecting his father's designs, the Baron just needs to siphon a little extra power from the city before he is ready to reveal the Terralunar Beam Cannon, a machine capable of pulling the moon from the Earth's orbit and bringing this story to a catastrophic conclusion. Here, so we got to deal with Baron Blade, who's up here in the RevoCorp headquarters, but I'm choosing to have Wraith go first just because of her kind of passive ability that's really powerful. For setup, we've already picked like a single justice card for each character, so that's something that we can go after in order to get justice reward that'll set up here. So with that, we'll kind of run right into the game flow, and then you guys will be able to connect the dots as we go, and you'll see how everything works in terms of the mechanics. So the first thing that you can do with the stack of actions here, we got 5 of them. So I can, in this particular mode, there's 2 sides to this. So I can either be in my kind of street mode or passive mode, or I can be in my hero mode. So for this, I want to stay in this at the beginning just because it gives me the opportunity to use these 3 actions on the side here. So in this case, I could, because I'm actually at, well, actually for her, now that I'm looking at it, the only thing she can benefit from the Freedom Tower is just to heal damage. So it won't help her, but as you can see over here on Justice, later on, I'm going to be taking advantage of some training, which will allow me to draw some ability cards. So for right now, I have a choice. Once per turn, I can move one hero, or one or more. So I technically could take Justice with me from one location to another location with a limo. So that gives me a lot of options if I wanted to get out of Freedom Tower and go somewhere, but I think right now I won't. So the first thing I'll do before I do anything is I'm going to take a look behind her card here, and you can see that I actually have the ability to have Wraith in 2 different locations at the start. It's my choice, so I could leave her at the Freedom Tower, but I could also take her to Montgomery Industries, where she can use kind of a very similar training-like ability that Justice has in terms of drawing ability cards, but you just choose a single color and get rid of the rest. But before we do any of that craziness, we need to ensure that we actually have cards. So green, blue, and we'll get red at some point in time. Then over here for Wraith, green, another green, red, and a yellow. And we'll talk more about kind of how those work later on, but they tie into use with or combat against the villains, why they're important. But they also have really nice abilities on the card. You can spend these cards to just gain the ability on them, and they can be very helpful besides doing your typical 5 actions. So I'm going to move her for free from her starting position to Montgomery Industries so that she starts there instead. And from here, I'm definitely going to go ahead while she's in this stance right here to get her to draw 5 more ability cards, and then based on the color, I can choose which one I want to keep. You know what? Let's go greens, just to keep that stack getting even stronger. And we'll toss the rest in the discard pile. That's a tough call, actually, depending on who we want to go after. And we're obviously, our main objective in this game is to try to progress the story. So beyond the intro that we read, we've got to actually get to a point of defeating 2 villains. So we have a choice to go after 2 of these 3 that are up here. And once we do, then we can progress the story. And if we don't, then this mastermind track is going to be, as it goes along, it's going to be ticking these story markers that are going to trigger the game to move along faster than we might wish. I've done my first action, so we'll go ahead and flip that over and exhaust it. And at this point, let's see. So we have no personal task yet, and we are here, and I have no damage to heal, so there's nothing I can do there. But we do have lots of action on the board. So one thing that we have to worry about all the time is overflow. So there's going to be chances that we can see henchmen pop out, just like during the setup, where if there's more than 3, or you have to put an extra one into a space with 3, it's going to overflow onto the card that matches the same color for the villain, which is bad because it boosts their health level up, makes it much tougher later on to take them out. So we don't want that happening, but there's also all kinds of mechanisms in the game where if you can't do that, then you start using other tokens, and it can really start compounding on you. to the point where this mastermind track ends up getting moved, and that's what will progress you to the end, which is not what we really want to have happen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to probably do a move action, seeing as I can move 2 spaces. So as you can see down here with the move action, it's move 1 to 2. In order to do it, I can be technically on this side or this side, but during my turn, I can decide if I want to flip it over. So at this point, I will, because I'm pretty much done with the other actions that I want to do. I'm going to go ahead and move. It's going to cost me an action to do that. I'll dive into this spot here, and we'll take this, flip it over, the cost, or just to spend the 1 action that we have. We've got an anarchy token in here. We also have some henchmen. We got to clear this henchman pile out. She has, unfortunately, her spirit is not that great, and that's the die that associates itself with the color of the henchman is what you have to roll to hit. So she's not really the best for going after this, but neither technically is Legacy. Neither one of them's all that great. But we're going to try our best to make it happen. We also can use ability cards when we do attacks to try to mitigate the insanity. So I got to pay 1 in order to actually do the attack in the first place. You can see roll 1 die per henchman. So we've got 3 henchmen, they're blue, so we take 3 dice. I can also take a look at any cards I have. You can see one here says play as an action to attack henchmen on adjacent locations. So I could potentially go after the green henchmen beside me later on to clear those out. We got smoke bomb. That allows me to go right for the bystander right away and kind of ignore the henchman. And this one here allows me to kind of actually interact with many different tokens or go through my ability deck. So nothing there is really going to help me with the roll. Let's just go see what happens with this. Okay, so I literally just missed it by a single point on every single die, which is unfortunate. And there are cards out there that allow you to manipulate the value of the die to make it go higher. Other characters can definitely use their cards so long as the card states they can actually play them during their turn to help, push you along. So this one here, Inspiring Presence, could definitely help her re-roll. The only debate would be when we get to actually going after a villain, you're going to want to have as many cards that associate the same color to the villain you're going after to help you try and defeat it. So it's kind of an interesting balance of when do you want to use abilities and when do you want to save them. We're really early on, so I'd probably want to burn this right now just to try and see if I can help. So we get a 3 reroll from this. Oh, so that didn't work out. Yeah, and this is kind of my fear a little bit with this one, just because I think I would probably, if I got lucky, maybe get 1 or maybe 2. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and we're going to try this 1 more time, maybe even 2 more times, just because based on this area of the map right now and the way the setup happened, there's not too many other spaces around me that I necessarily could get to quick enough with 2 movement to really make an impact. So I'd rather just stay put, and even though the odds may not be in my favor, it's probably worth seeing if I can clear it up, prevent the overflow. Okay, so that didn't work out. So let's do 1 more attempt. There we go. So we got 1. That's a lot of dice rolling, but we didn't end up getting lucky that time. So that'll clear all that up. And her turn, or in terms of actions, is completely out. So at this point now, we basically move into the villain phase. The first thing you do is grab 2 cards. So 2 extra cards get added into your pile. Shuffle. And we got really lucky. So there's a number of these cards inside the deck, and it varies based on the difficulty level. So we got lucky. We can move right to Legacy. So now we have one thing that's really nice about Legacy that I like is the fact that Legacy has an additional die right off the top, and that comes from being in hero mode. So right now, the card says being in its passive mode, basically, or his personal mode. Once per turn, you may look at the top scheme card, you may discard it and place it back on top of the deck. You can discard it or place it on top of the deck. So I definitely want to use his ability right away because it gives me a heads up as to what could potentially be coming down the line. And then you can take a look at the scheme, see which henchmen, which are denoted by the henchman symbols. You've got the eye there, which is for the mastermind tokens, and then the villain one in the yellow there is going to move only if there's 3 henchmen present. But we can get an idea as to like where these things are going to be going on the map and decide whether this is something we want to keep on top or get rid of. So the question is with this 25, I believe, not 25, but I thought it might have been 25 is pretty good. So 25 is pretty clear. The one that I'd be concerned about is probably 12, and 12 does have 2. So it actually would cause an overrun over there. So that's good to know. So, I mean, we could leave this card on top, but we now know that like we probably should attempt to get over there and clear that area out to avoid that from causing us problems. And then in terms of number 3, yeah, we're safe there, like in terms of what could be laid there. So really the concern is going to be 12. So I'm happy leaving that on top for this one. At least I have the knowledge going into this. But the first thing I said I wanted to do earlier on with him is to go ahead while he's at Freedom Tower and gain some ability cards, 3 of them. So he can be in either stance for this. So we'll grab 3. This will give him some options. So at this point, we'll do our 1 action spend here. We've gone ahead and done some training. And at this point, I can only do this once. I'd love to do it multiple times, but I can't do it again. So we'll probably just move up to this space, even though this wouldn't probably be the place I want to go, just to avoid that overrun. I think it makes sense. So we'll flip that over, do a move. And now that we're here, we can do an attack. So
Hero mode.
Oh, yes. Flipping over to hero mode in order to get this die, because that's what triggers it. We're in hero mode now. And then, of course, we got 2 green. So we'll take 2 green dice. And we're going to give them a roll. And we're looking for 4s or higher. There we go. So that's exactly what we needed. A much better rolling than the than last time. And I've got a card here that's going to help me. So let's see. That. And actually, sorry, that one will allow me to move without spending an action. Let's flip that back. So we're going to go ahead and use Motivational Charge, which we can discard. It allows us to move 1 to 2 locations and defeat...
Card costs an
Oh,
action.
yes, that's true. So we will spend an action there. There we go. And to move 1 or 2 locations, and we get to defeat all the henchmen in that spot, which is pretty nice. So we can jump right over here like that. But it also gives us the ability to go after the mastermind token, which is huge. So we'll do that for the last one. We'll flip this over, and you can see down here at the bottom, token interactions. So you do these in order. If there's all these tokens are sitting in the area, you'll do it in order. But in this case, just the mastermind. So it says, encounter the matching event in the scenario comic. So this is where there's going to be tie-ins, not only at the beginning when you start the whole thing in terms of what's going on and how the story is moving, but the mastermind's going to be throwing things at you that comes from the comic book, which is pretty cool. So in this case, it's going to be a 5 that we have to deal with. And this actually gives you a nice rundown too of when we get to the villain phase. You saw before at the end of race turn, we did the drawing of 2 abilities in the scheme card. There's a reminder there. You got your story to walk through. And this is the special rules for the scenario. And then, of course, what we're doing right now is dealing with the mastermind token. So that mastermind token is 5. So it says a laser blast fires down at you from the mobile defense platform. Move Baron Blade to your location, suffer 3 damage, and then so this is actually probably one of the worst ones because there's nothing you can do to actually negate this. This is the rest of them you actually have rolls to try and defeat them. But in this case, he's already here, so he's not really going anywhere. He's just going to hit me. I do have a Fortitude card, and I'm definitely going to play that. So play whenever you would take damage to cancel that damage. I do want to show you guys what damage will do in the future, but I certainly don't want to take 3 damage to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and block that, and then this mastermind token can go back into the bag because it's been cleared. That'll be the end of that, so we'll grab 2 cards, flip them over. We got another yellow and another green, and we'll do the villain phase. So the scheme's coming that we saw earlier. Flip that over. So we're going to add a villain to 25. 25's over here. We're going to grab 2 henchmen for 12. And a single henchman for the Bowery Bridge arc. That number was 3 right here. So again, because we mitigated that whole situation at the park, nothing bad is going to happen. And then we've got, we missed the 1 mastermind token I should have actually thrown up there at the same time for 25. So we'll do that now. Grab 1, throw it up here. These mastermind tokens, you really want to get rid of them. Same with the anarchy. You don't want them lurking around the board. Once they run out, it's bad. So you just kind of want to always be on top of those. So it says each time the mastermind token's place, you add an anarchy token of any color to the location as well. So, and then of course, Baron Blade is going to move there as well. So it gets pretty nasty. So he's going to basically move here, and it's going to trigger every single time this token drops. And then one of these anarchy tokens are going to come out. And we get a choice as to which one comes out. So this is kind of where you don't want to pick something that has the least amount of that particular color because you're kind of hurting yourself. You want to pick something that's got the highest stack. And in this case, we got 3 for all the colors that are available right now from red, green, and blue. Yellow doesn't have any right now. Okay, so when choosing the actual anarchy token you want to use, you're going to want to take a look at your stats and look back to see which one's your best stat. Because in this case, for instance, Legacy can handle the red stat for body, and which would be this one here. So if we pull this one out, the card that comes out for this one to resolve it in the future will actually give him a better chance of being able to deal with it. So we'll put that red one there instead, being that he's fairly close enough to be able to deal with it in the future. And then the last thing we need to do is the villain. And you're only going to move this if there's 3 henchmen present at place number 3, or location number 3, and there is not. So we don't have to move the villain. And also, there is no yellow villain in this particular scenario, so we wouldn't be moving anybody anyway. But if it was a different color, we would be. And then draw and activate a personal task card. So because we finished the round off with Legacy, Legacy gets the personal task, and this is going to sit like so. And this is basically a personal task that's going to block the cards that I'm trying to gain, because there's wonderful benefits, or just cards that I have, like special cards that I can use during villain or mastermind fights in order to help me, or just for abilities. And it kind of forces you into doing something that is in the hero's personal life first before you get to go after those wonderful benefits. So in this case, I have to deliver a passionate speech to a group of law students. So I'd have to go to the actual university and then just do a personal task action there, which is listed right on here. So that's again going to be something that can't be done in his hero form, it has to be done in his personal form. So something to keep in mind for later. So that is going to be it for the scheme, and then we bounce right back to Wraith here. So we'll flip these over, give ourselves all our actions back. So every single time you start your turn, you can flip this back over to its original personal side, and you're going to want to make sure you use your ability if you can take advantage of it. So once per turn, you can move. I'm pretty happy to move at this point for free. So let's send her to the convention center. So we'll flip over, and we're going to make our first attack, and we're going after green. So we'll roll these 3 dice and see how well this goes. So if I can get all of them at once. We got 2. That's not bad as it is. So we'll knock the 2 henchmen out. Clear that area up a little bit more, and then maybe we'll do one more roll, although this is kind of risky because, again, we're rolling per the amount of henchmen, so now I'm just down to the single die, but it's a strong roll because I've got it's 3 or higher, so I've got good odds. There we go. So I landed it. So we'll take that henchman out of the equation, and now we can go after the anarchy token, which is really what I wanted to kind of get down to. So we did do 1 attack, and we did another attack. And then now we're going to try to interact with the anarchy tokens. So we're going to grab the same color that we used, or that the anarchy token matches with over here. So it'll be a green one. And then it's going to tell us that drugs are flooding the streets. The labs must be found and shut down. So we have to roll 5 dice. We can choose which skill we want to use in order to deal with this. So mind is obviously the best for her, although her tech is equal, but not here in this option list. We'll grab 5 dice. It doesn't really matter what color they are in this case, because you're just trying to roll against this check. And we're trying to get as many successes as possible, because you can see some of them are actually going to, well, if you can be successful, but they actually can have some cons sometimes, or they're not fully going to get rid of the token that you're trying to get rid of. So we're trying, as you can see here, to get to 3 successes at the bare minimum. So this might be where the rolling or the reroll from Legacy could be super handy. All right, so we got 1, 2, 3, 4. So we definitely got all of what we needed there. So it says you find and destroy the drug labs, arresting most of those involved, remove the token and any 4 green henchmen in the city. So this token, instead of going to this area right here, it actually goes over here to her justice, which is good, because if she gets 2 different colored anarchy tokens, so we just want to make sure we don't get a second green. Although it's still good to get rid of them, it won't get us this justice reward. So if we go after red or blue or some other color, this will allow us to get the reward and put it up here. That's huge for us. So that's that. So that token is gone. We can now pick the green henchman we want to remove. So we've got 2 henchmen at 2 different locations, and then a whole bunch of single henchmen. So let's definitely knock these down to 1, prevent any overflows. And then we'll probably take a green from maybe one that's really far away that we're not planning to go to. We're probably going to go here eventually because of the mastermind token. Maybe up here might be the spot to get rid of. It's tough to call at this point because we're not sure, and we haven't been able to see the scheme in advance to know. It's not Legacy's turn yet to know what is coming next, but that sounds good to me. So this card is now done, and we still have 2 actions. So basically, one thing that we did forget from setup that I should have put out in location 21 was a bystander token. So there should have been 2 on the board, and you can see that in the actual rules for the setup for this particular scenario. So I put that on the board, and that's actually quite huge because these bystanders can be a big time benefit for you to go after. So It's a good thing that we remembered at this point in time, because I can actually try and interact with this thing while it's on the way to where I really want to deal with all kinds of problems is down here at the port. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to spend one action in order to move my hero from here to here. And then I have a card called Smoke Bomb, so I can play, and this doesn't have any kind of actual action associated with it, so it's completely free to rescue a bystander, even if a henchman is sitting there. So the reason I'm doing this is mainly because her ability allows her to be in a space at the end of her turn, and she doesn't suffer any damage. And you'll see why I bother staying there later on too. But we'll take this bystander token because we are now interacting with it for free. Grab a card. Let's see what we get. So we got ourselves business executive. So it says quiet. Can't you see I'm on a call here? Reward nothing. So it does sound like there's nothing good in this situation, but there actually is. These icons in the top left-hand corner are going to be a benefit for you. Once you get 2 or more, you like instantly discard them to grab a special card. And we already seen what a special card can do down here that can be pretty powerful. So sounds like a bad card to get. It would have been nice to get a reward, but we still get to keep this. So I'm just going to place this maybe off to the side here once we get another one of these icons. And some of these cards actually have 2 icons on them. So you can get really lucky and actually just be able to trade in for a special like right away. These can come in really handy, but that one did not work out as good as it could have. So over here, we're now going to go ahead and use the micro targeting computer for my last action. So this burns all of them. And this is going to allow me to target a henchman on an adjacent location. The reason this is really good is that I'm not wasting my time by bringing her into a space that she's not really that great at rolling against anyway. So this kind of gives me like a free attack without having to really spend too many actions, and especially when I didn't have that many to begin with. End my turn here. So let's see how it goes. Come on. Oh, that's actually pretty good. Well, it looks pretty good for a second, but I got 1. So we'll take 1. It's better than nothing. I'm trying to keep that from overflowing because that would be bad. But that is it. That's going to be the end of her turn. So she'll grab 2 cards, flip them over, that, and then we're going to go to the villain phase. So we have a henchman, and this is showing up at location 5. So the Grove, it's blue. It's going to be right here. So that's very close to overflowing, but doesn't. We got a bystander token that's going to show up there. So this is getting kind of interesting now. We left this space originally, but there's lots of reasons to go back. The green henchman's going to 11. So that is right here. And then we have a henchman going to 28. A little bit further back here. Again, this is still safe, no overflows yet. And then the yellow villain again is going to move, but there is no yellow villain. So we luck out again. No villains jumping around. Draw and activate a personal task card. So now we're going to draw a task card for Wraith. Or teach a self-defense class to a group of young women. Perform the personal task action at Megalopolis University. So that is the end of her turn, and we are now going to move over to Legacy. So we'll flip his side back over to the personal side, and we definitely want to look at the scheme because there could be something worth checking out here. So we got a henchman going to be going to 21 in the future, so that won't cause any issues. Mastermind token will go there. That will cause an issue because that's going to impact Wraith. It's going to hit her pretty badly, so that's going to be unfortunate. We will see that happen in the future. I could use my ability here to mitigate that, which I probably will. Says you may discard it or place it back on top of the deck. So I'll probably be discarding it based on the fact I don't want Wraith to take 3 damage. And then we've got 1 and a villain move to the 1 location. So the villain move is pretty nasty. We're not doing this right now, but I'm just kind of walking you through what could happen. The villain move could potentially see a freight train running across the shortest path all the way to the Workshop Avenue, and every individual he runs through, he's going to smack them for 2 damage based on his card, which is pretty rough.
No, he would smack Wraith.
Would he smack Wraith? Okay. Oh, yeah. That's right. Wraith is right there. That's true. Yes.
Wraith is right there. That
Yes.
card's terrible because Wraith would get hit with the Baron and then get hit with Fright, and she would be defeated.
Oh, jeez. That's really bad. Okay, so that card is bad for a number of reasons. So it will be discarded. So we're definitely going to toss this away. And now we don't know what's going to happen next, but it's got to be better than what we just saw. We'll start things off with him. We'll bring all his actions over. He's got a full 5. I mean, you'll see how damage affects characters later on, but basically it's going to start chewing away at their ability to spend cards of certain color types or remove some of their actions, which is why it's so deadly and can be a serious problem to take a lot of damage. So we do know that for him, we have a personal quest that we have to deal with. And And we also could train at the Freedom Tower if I really wanted to. I am pretty close, and it's very tempting to go back there and do some training. We could do a move to Freedom Tower. That may not be a bad idea. Let's do that. And let's train, seeing as getting ability cards is never a bad thing, especially if we're trying to take down a villain in the future. And it's always good when you get a million of the same color as well. Definitely take that. That's a nice row. So now we got a reason to maybe focus on going after Glamour in the future. Over here, we have some help. So we're getting close to potentially being able to juggle that idea. She is the least of the health situation, so that helps. Okay, so what I'll do is I'm going to use an action here to move. And I'm actually moving twice because it's going to require me to move up to 3 to get to where I want to go. So the Meg Convention Center, City Hall, and then we're going to go all the way over to the university. And then from there, we're going to go ahead and perform the personal tasks. I am in a personal stance, so we're going to get rid of this thing. We'll toss that. I'll just move it off to the side for now. So now this frees this all up again. And the reason it's really important is, like, if I do decide to go after Glamour, I now have the ability to use Quiet Night for 2 extra dice on top of all the dice I have over here. So that makes the odds of potentially taking her out much better. But I no longer have any more actions because that last one of actually dealing with the personal task actually is an action. So now I'm completely out, but I do get 2 cards at the end of my turn going into the villain phase. So that's nice. And then we got to do the scheme. And this is a scheme we don't know. For the first time, this is one that I haven't been able to look. And that is insane. I get super lucky both times. I haven't known what the card's going to be when it comes up, and it ends up being Justice. I'm perfectly fine with that. So nothing is going to happen bad, which is nice. Love it. So we'll take the stack over here, flip this over, and we're going to go ahead and start ourselves off. So do I want to use the limo? That is the question. So we're going to go ahead and take the limo here in order to deal with our personal task, and we're going to perform that personal task right now. So this card can also go away. And I think I moved the wrong individual. Did I? I did. Sorry, I just grabbed the wrong person. So nothing wrong there. But one thing I want to mention too with Justice is that, or Legacy, I should say, sorry, is that Legacy ended his turn inside of Megalopolis University with a henchman, and normally you take a damage from that. But he doesn't take a damage in this case because he was in his personal form. You don't take damage when you're in your personal form. When you're in your hero form, the henchmen know who you are and they're coming after you. So in this case, we have, going back to Wraith. Wraith is going to head down here for 2 move, which is nice because there's a lot of stuff she can do down there. So we got 1 more token coming off the stack. So we still have 3 actions, which is great because we should be able to accomplish quite a bit down here. And we actually get to go after potentially another Anarchy token that could boost us with a reward if we get lucky. But we got to deal with the henchmen that are there. So let's do that here. So we're just going to go with an actual attack to start things off. So I'll have to figure out. Okay, so we ended up getting 1. So that's better than the rolls we did originally with the other ones. See how that goes. There, we'll just go ahead and roll this one more time. Come on, 5s and 6s. There we go. That's exactly what I wanted to see. So these 2 are out of here. Good thing is, for Anarchy, if we deal with it, we're going to be able to potentially get a reward here, which is nice. So we're going to draw this one based on the color. So it's going to be a blue card. Hopefully this is going to be not too bad. So we're rolling 4 dice, and we're testing our spirit. So let's grab 4 of these blue dice, and it says, a lion statue has come to life. The stone predators roaming the streets and stalking the citizens in the area. If we get 2 successes, we can take down the creature, but we still take damage, and the token goes away. So that's good news in that situation, but bad on the damage side. 3 successes, we actually damage the least damage villain, and there is no least damage villain, so technically we can actually put that on a villain that's maybe someone we're going after in the future or soon, whatever. We get a choice there. And we still get to get rid of the token. So in all cases, that's pretty awesome, so long as we get at least 2 or 3. Okay, so we end up getting, what are we at, 5? Oh, so we only get the 1. So I'm going to risk 1 card. Be interesting to see if this is worth it. And we got to reroll everything, which is, again, a risk in itself. But we are already at a failure, so it can't get any worse. Ah, there we go. We got it. That's super lucky. Okay, so you're able to take down the creature, suffer damage. Okay, so we did take it, and the token is going to go away. So we'll do this kind of one at a time. So the first thing is your hero wounds. So I'll give this a quick shuffle. So this is what comes out as a wound, and you can see it says place an action token on this damage. So you take... Okay, so one thing that I didn't do in terms of the order of operations is I should have actually moved the action token I had here when I interacted with that anarchy token here, which would have put it in the exhausted pile. And then when I pulled this action from this wound from the bag, you then take one of these tokens and place it here. This is going to obviously be bad because later when we reset for the next turn, I won't have as many actions. So that's not the best, but we do get rid of the anarchy token that's there, so we can place this on the curse. I get the anarchy token right now, but I don't get to resolve this because the actual resolving of this justice card is an actual action, and I don't have any more action. So this will just stay here for now. Cross my fingers and actually pull some more blue dice on this one, because that would be awesome to bump that up, but see if it works. One thing I just noticed is that I should have, and it doesn't change anything in terms of gameplay, but I should have technically changed over to the hero side while I was doing some of those token interactions and stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to play a card right now called Quiet Night. And the reason I want to do this is because the whole plan all the way along over the last couple of rounds has been I've been trying to gather up as many dice to go up against a villain. And Glamour is the one that's currently closest to Wraith. And I also have Legacy, who's very close by. The risk with the scheme cards is that the villain can potentially move. So my plan would go and potentially could go a little haywire if the villain actually shuffles anywhere. So in order to kind of negate the possibility of that, we could get rid of Quiet Night rather than taking it for its 2 dice that'll help us during the fight, which is definitely a risk because the dice would certainly be nice, but this preventing any villain from shuffling around could also be good. So we're going to go ahead and probably spend Quiet Night. And I'll place this as it's a special card in the discard over here. This will stop us from having to pull any scheme whatsoever, which is a plus because we don't have to deal with any other henchmen coming out or anything else. And now we can go right into his turn in his personal state. And I'm going to definitely go ahead right now and use a couple cards that are going to help us out with this battle we're trying to have down here with the villain. So I got this booster or bolster allies card. So I can play as an action to allow all heroes, including you, to heal a damage or draw an ability card. Now I have a damage technically on Wraith, but our focus right now is to get as many cards that will correspond to the color of the villain we're going after. So I think I'll ignore the healing for now. And we're going to spend these one at a time for an action. And of course, I'll just go ahead and refresh my action pool here. So one action going over. And we will go ahead and draw a card, and one for both, which is nice. We got another bolster action, or bolster allies. And then over here, let's see what we get. 2 green. So combat prowess. Play when you and a hero on location is attacked, attacking a villain to cancel their defense or cancel their counterstrike. This actually could be really good. That could be really good for defense side of things. And then in terms of doing this again, we should absolutely burn another one. To try this a second time. Got a yellow, so another surge of strength. That's going to be good because it's going to allow me to have lots of rerolls. And over here, grappling hook. Okay, so we didn't get any of the dice we necessarily wanted, but we did get cards ability-wise that could help us. We'll definitely spend that other one. That was kind of a nice thing to see come through, so we'll spend another action. See if we get lucky. That is hilarious. And then we're going to come over here and we'll do the exact same thing. There we go. So we got a die. We got an extra die in the pool. So, I mean, it was worth that last one there. And then, of course, we need the last 2 actions to be able to get our hero here from his... We'll move into his hero state at this point, and we'll do a move. And we're going to end up doing an attack on the villain once he gets in there. So it'll be a 1-2, and then we're going to choose to attack. And the good news is, again, we're teaming up for this attack because we're both in the same spot. So we can have another player, as we've been talking about along the way here, add dice into the equation. So first off, we'll total up all the dice we have for Legacy. So we got the 1 die. We also have these 4 right here. So I'll definitely be using all of them. So we'll discard all these to grab 4 dice. So basically this pool right here, it's already all set up. So for this particular attack, because we're doing a team up, the thing that's important to note is that before you go ahead and roll with the character who actually initiated the battle, you're going to want to make sure that you commit your cards or any cards that other heroes want to add into the pool. And this decision point basically has you making a choice as to whether you want to commit all, or basically whatever cards you want to commit that match the color. So in this case, I could commit all 3 of these as well as committing this down here. To really increase my chances, and I'm going to do that. So we're going to end up having 5 dice. if for some crazy reason, which is not possible in this fight because the health of this villain is 6, I only have 5 dice. I know I can't actually get enough damage to kill the villain, but I can come very close if I get lucky enough, or I can surge it. The reason that the committing of cards matters is if you commit your cards into a fight, and I actually did have enough dice to kill the villain off with Legacy, then Wraith wouldn't need to roll, so Wraith would be able to keep all the cards that she committed in her hand still. But if there is still damage or still health left on the villain, then she's already committed those cards to the fight, so she has to roll all of the cards and all the dice that she committed, which means she's going to end up losing all those cards. So it's kind of a big decision point, and this could actually be kind of unfortunate for her that she has to commit that many cards just to potentially get one hit, but that's kind of part of the strategy. So we'll go ahead with Legacy, and we're going to roll all of these dice, and we're going to hope for good things, but we also have these surges of strength. We can just stack them like crazy to boost them. So we'll see how this goes. So, all right. So we're looking for 4s and higher. So we only got 1 4. If we use 1 surge of strength, then this die here will basically roll up to a 3. This one will roll up to a 3. This one's up to a 4. And this one's up to a 4. So that right there is going to give us 2 more successes. So now we've got 3, and there'd be no reason not to do this again. So this will just bump us up. So really, at the end of the day, we end up having 5 successes with all those tied. So we've got the 5 that we need. We need 1 more. And I'm just going to quickly take a look at her reference card. You can see here if an attacking hero roll. So she has a defense that's going to kick in too that you got to kind of watch. At the end of all of this, which we're not done resolving all the dice yet, but it's worth noting, on her defense for voices and visions, if an attacking hero rolls more even numbers than odd numbers, the attack chases an illusion and glamour suffers no damage. So we don't want to have more even numbers than we have odd numbers, which is fun. Okay, so basically after the Surge of Strength, the 2 of them that I used, these are the results on the die. So as you can see, based on the odds and evens, right now I have more evens than I do odds, which is bad because Glamour's ability says that if I have more even numbers, then the attack basically chases nothingness. She, eludes us and escapes. But we do have a card on Wraith, which allows her to play when you or a hero on your location is attacking a villain to cancel their defense or their counter strike, and this is a defensive thing that she's throwing at us, so we can completely cancel this by just discarding this card to make the damage we actually got over here go through. So she would have 5 damage on her at this point, which is fantastic. Now we're going to come over, and based on all the committed cards that we've got, we know 1 2 3 4 5 dice are going into the pool. Okay, so we're rolling off for race attack. We're looking for just a single hit, and we want to see a lot more odds than evens. So here we go. That is going to do it. That is the perfect roll. We have odds all the way along, so her defenses won't counter it. We had we got 3 successes, which is way beyond what we need. So that is going to eliminate Glamour. So that really puts us halfway to what we're trying to do in the comic book in terms of taking out 2 of the villains. So as a result of defeating Glamour, we have a counter strike that's still going to trigger even though we defeated her. It states move the attacking hero to the location of the closest hero. So the attacking hero in this case is Legacy, as Legacy initiated the attack with an action token, and the closest hero is Wraith. So they're in the same space, so no movement, but 2 damage is going to be put up on Wraith, which is unfortunate. So we're going to grab 2 tokens out of this hero wounds bag, and we'll see what we get. So the first one we have is cannot use green power cards. That's really bad because she has a lot of green. And then the next one is another one of those ones that's going to remove one of these action tokens. So she's going to have even less to use next time around. So healing is going to be something she needs to focus on in the future. So that resolves the counter attack. And then at this point in time, because of course Glamour's defeated, we're going to flip this thing over to state that it is defeated, and then the rewards are going to show up, and we've got options. So attacking heroes may take 2 of these rewards, and they have to be different. Most of them are straightforward. So draw 2 special cards or keep 1. Remove all blue anarchy tokens on the board and add to the purple pool. So at a high level, how this works is there isn't any blue anarchy tokens at all on the board. So I won't be taking this action. But if there was, you take them all off the board, and every single bottom of all these anarchy tokens, no matter what the color is, besides purple, of course, on the bottom side is purple. So essentially, if we had all of these anarchy tokens that are blue, say 3 of them on the board, and we removed all the 3 blue, we could flip them over to purple and put them in the middle. The reason that that's interesting, or at least a benefit for us, is that when we actually have to resolve an anarchy token, then we have the ability to choose whichever color card we want to resolve, which then we can correlate to the best ability die that we have on our character board. So we can be going, instead of just hoping to get something that's going to tie into a strength, we can actually go specifically after the one that we can resolve it even faster, or hopefully have a better chance at resolving it. So that one I won't do because there isn't any blue anarchy tokens on the board. The other one below it is remove up to 6 blue henchmen. I mean, this could be something, but again, looking at the board, only 4 blue, so not really useful at this point. No double ups either. Draw 4 ability cards is a nice one. That could certainly get us back up again. But we also have this one that's specific to the scenario that we're doing. It's called Take the Villain Token, but more so it's Take the Villain Standee or miniature in this case. So it's going to be this right here, and we can actually place it on a hero. It doesn't matter which hero it is. But basically, that's going to give us a boost when we actually go up against the major villain, or I guess in this case it's Baron, at the very end. So this is going to be for the scenario itself. This is probably going to be the one that we want to go after, as this is going to give us a nice advantage. So we'll go ahead and place this on Legacy, and you'll see how that works later on, how that kind of boosts what we're going to do when we go after him. But we still need to deal with 2 villains. We've only got 1 off the board so far. I can pick one more thing. I am very tempted to pick the ability card one, but I'm also really tempted to grab the special cards because we burnt a lot of our special cards. So I'll have Wraith actually grab 2 special cards and then pick between them. So we'll go up here to the special deck, grab 2 cards. Gotta figure out which of these 2 we think is best. So at the bottom, obviously, Quiet Knight is the best if we're talking about using it for villain or mastermind. The other 2 play at the end of any hero's turn to prevent drawing any scheme cards in their villain phase, or play any time to remove all henchmen, 1 anarchy, and 1 mastermind token from locations. That's really good. Like, that police support one could be huge in a situation, and I'm just going to double check because it states place any time to remove all henchmen. Yeah, so you can do it from anywhere. So what's really nice about that is if you got a trouble spot kind of brewing, like where the actual, where he currently is, even isn't a good example. You could go in there and wipe that entire area out without having to traverse all the way over there and deal with it action by action. So I might actually take that one because I think it's pretty good. And we've seen Quiet Knight before, so let's go with the police support. All right. So that is the end of that villain. So we only need 1 more villain to go. So the other thing we have to do is there is a defense platform that's very important. And you can see here the effect on it states any damage that would be dealt to Baron Blade must be applied to the mobile defense platform. We didn't currently do anything to Baron specifically, so you can jump past that. The second one is where it matters. It says each time a villain's defeated, the power pack they are carrying feeding energy to the mobile defense platform is destroyed, dealing 7 damage to that platform. So if you noticed earlier on, he's floating on this platform. He's literally moving around the board on top of it. And it's kind of he's got a nice little buff from it for his health. You can see his current health down here is the number of heroes +4. And then he's got 20 for the mobile defense platform. And that's where the damage goes first. So we took out a villain. We get to place 7 damage on this mobile defense platform. So he's got
double-sided, by the way. There's 3.
Nice. There we go. So we got 7 damage on this mobile defense platform like that. So again, if we go after 1 more villain, we'll get another 7, and we're slowly making our way up to get rid of the defense platform, and then we can just go after him. So at this point, we need to dive back into the last person that went, which was Legacy. He triggered this whole villain attack. His turn is now done, so he's going to drop 2 cards. He got himself Flight. I love Flight because it allows you to get anywhere. And then Inspiring Presence is great too because that's going to help out with dice rolling. That is good. And then we're going to go to the scheme deck and see what we have. So we got a henchman that's going to be showing up at 25. 25, I'm hoping is not going to overrun. Is that where our boss is? Yes, it is. Oh, geez, that's not good. So you can see that police support card we got is perfect for that spot in the future. That's going to be huge. 2 henchmen at 30. So bottom corner, we still haven't overrun yet. Lucky that way. And then 1 more henchman at 19, and then the villain. But the villain that we just defeated is no longer there, so that villain's not going to be moving anywhere. So it's just 1 henchman that's going to be landing at 19. So 19 is right here, Freedom Tower. So this is bad, actually. We don't really want to have this happen. You can see right here on the Freedom Tower, it says, if overrun, advance the mastermind track 1 space. So that is something we got to keep an eye on because If this track keeps going up, it's going to progress things faster, which is we want to try to get the two villains defeated as quick as possible before that track gets up there. So the other thing I want to mention is about blue henchmen now, because of course we know that the blue villain is no longer part of the equation. The henchmen are much weaker, essentially. So now when we move into a space with henchmen and we want to actually get rid of those henchmen, we don't have to actually attack them anymore. We just spend an action and they just disperse. Basically, like it's almost as if their boss that was running the show with them is no longer there to help them out or give them any kind of courage, and they just kind of run into the shadows. So that's kind of a nice perk. So we definitely can clear up Freedom Tower quite easily, so long as we can get over there. So that is that, and we've done with the scheme, except for the very bottom portion of the card that says draw and activate a personal task. We have another task coming at us here, so we'll just give this a shuffle here and drop it. And what do we got? Got ourselves train young legacy in the combat simulator. So perform the personal task action, discard a red ability card at the Freedom Tower. So I got lots of red ability cards, which is nice, so I'm not going to have too much trouble being able to discard one, but I have to do it at Freedom Tower, and that works out good too, because we need to go back there anyway at some point just to deal with the blue there. So that ties in nicely. So that is going to do it for this scheme. So now we're going to move over to Wraith, and Wraith is going to go back into her personal. She's got lots of damage to deal with, her wounds to deal with. So that's going to be high on her list of things to do. Now, in order to heal her, she has one location that's really good for her ability to heal, and that's what she really can go back to too. Montgomery Industries or Freedom Tower, you can heal all the damage and reshuffle your ability deck. So that's where she's going to take a limo, and she could actually bring Legacy with her as well, which I'm probably going to do because this section of the city no longer really has anything going on. So we'll bring both heroes with a limo all the way up here to Freedom Tower. And then, now that we're here, we'll go ahead and do one action in our personal form here, or personal, where is this here? This one, heal all damage. So basically, these come back, but they don't go into your current action pool. They still stay in your or they always go into your exhausted pool. So it doesn't matter what side you've got this token flipped on either one of these. It's still going to land here when you bring it back. And then these can go back in the bag. For Tabletop Simulator, we're going to go ahead and shuffle this so we don't see the exact same ones come back up again. And we also get to bring all the discards from the ability deck back into our regular deck, give it a shuffle, and that's that. So next turn will be good. We'll have lots of actions. Again, I can spend an action right now, which I might as well do, to just disperse all the henchmen that are there. They're all going to run away. We don't have to attack them, so that's awesome. Keeps them from causing any pain at the Freedom Tower. And then while we're there, so the one thing I missed is I was supposed to be in hero mode in order to do the attack on the henchmen. So it's just a simple flip. And also we want to use our last action to really resolve this right here, the justice rewards that we dealt with the last turn. So we'll go like that. And at this point now it says immediately flip this card and remove one mastermind token from any location. So that's pretty awesome. And these tokens are going to go back, the anarchy ones. Piles, one green, one blue. This one gets flipped. We'll place it here. And just so we make sure we don't mess up the actual ability, just one mastermind token from any location. That's actually pretty good. So we don't want to take it from a spot where I plan on using police support. So this one wouldn't be a good one. Probably somewhere where we're not going to be, and there really is only other one option. So it's going to be this one. We'll take that mastermind token, chuck it away. Then we're going to use police support because this doesn't cost an action at all to use. Plenty of time to remove all the henchmen, one anarchy, and one mastermind. So we are going to pinpoint this one right here. We're going to say goodbye to that, and all of the henchmen are also going to disappear as well. That was pretty awesome. So the thing with Justice that's really important to mention is the fact that these cards, when they're face down in the rewards pile, are going to allow you to discard them if you want to use them to gain a die during a villain fight or during the mastermind fight, but also you gain a new Justice card the second you resolve the one that you had. So we'll gain a new one right away. So this one we've got now is Night Patrol. It says to take the rooftop, or take to the rooftops, streets and alleys to instill fear in the criminals of the city. Defeat one henchman of every color. So this is pretty straightforward. We'll actually be taking the henchmen, and in order to reference that we've got them, we'll be placing them on this card as we go to track our progress, and then we've got a reward at the end there. So flip this card at any time to avoid drawing all scheme cards at the end of any hero's turn. then add this card to your victory stack. That's pretty nice. And I think my goal is going to be trying to go after this villain at the bottom here. So she's really strong in the green die department, but legacy is not. And I need to get legacy up a little bit more before we can maybe take that next villain on. But for now, we'll grab 2 cards to end her turn. And look at that. We got some green. That's awesome. And we even got a team up. Oh, that's even better.
No, that's a mistake.
That should not be in there. Okay, so that is a mistake. We'll discard that. And we'll pull this. Smoke bomb. There we go. Okay. Bring that up. Combat prowess. Nice. So we now have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 dice going in. That's making an even stronger case for her, but not so much for legacy yet. Scheme wise, running out of time. Well, this is a fun one. Okay, so we got 2 green henchmen showing up at 7, if I'm not mistaken. So we got 7's clear right now, so that's good news. We won't see any overflow yet. We've got a bystander and a blue henchman at 29. And we have a henchman and the yellow villain, which the yellow villain doesn't exist in this scenario, so it's just a henchman at 28. That is right here. Oh, that's close too. All right, and then running out of time. So if 3 or more mastermind tokens are active, which means they have to be actually on the board themselves, and we've done a really good job of clearing those out, so that's not the case. Remove 1 and advance the mastermind track by 1 space. So normally if there was 3 or more, we would move this up to the 3rd position. In this case, we're not doing that. If not, place this card next to the mastermind track, and if there's ever 3 of these cards coming out that are state running out of time, then we're discarding them and advancing the track. So it's kind of a more slow progression of that happening. So for now, what I will do is I'll place this maybe right here around where the villain is, just to remind me. So we're diving into Legacy's turn next. So I'll bring all of his tokens over. Flip these over, and we are going to flip his card back to his personal side, and we can look at a scheme, which we definitely want to do. Got personal task. Okay, so this one's going to drop bystanders and an individual at 17. That's okay. 1 at 26. That's also okay. Getting close, though, to being dangerous. The blue is going to move, which in this case is not going to happen because that actually is a good card. Not bad. The personal task is kind of a pain. Okay, so the personal task card could be an issue. We do have one already, but if we get another one, if I was to keep this card at the top of the stack, when it does come, it would just basically sit in between. So this new card would come and sit in here, for instance, and then the next one would go here. And this is basically preemptively blocking all the cards you might get that are positives in the future with things you need to do personally. So again, this one's not that bad overall. It doesn't trigger any overflows. It doesn't really cause too much problems, so I'll probably leave it as is, but this is going to go back on the top of the deck because I'm just at this point using my personal ability to sneakily see what's going to happen next. So I'm at Freedom Tower right now, so that's a pretty easy one to go ahead and resolve, and I can do it in this current state. So 1 action, and we just have to ditch 1 red card in order to make this work. So we do have 2 flights, so that seems to be the one to go because 2 dice on the red is nice. I don't want to let that one go. So this card can disappear now. Do some training, which is probably always the best thing to do when he's back at Freedom Tower because it really bolsters his ability to go after villains and just get abilities going. So we'll do that. Get another flight card. All right, so what I'm going to do is I want to fly over to this trouble spot over here. So in order to do that, I'm going to flip my card over from personal to hero mode so I can get access to these cards. I'll go ahead and do a flight, which costs an action, as depicted on the card. That'll allow me to move my hero and anyone else there, but I'm not going to. I'm going to choose to leave her here because she does need to do a lot of. Well, I don't have any reason to bring her over there at this point, so I'm just going to bring him by himself, and he will land there. And then from that point, I'm going to do some attacking as we try to resolve the henchmen. Now, I'm not so good on the tech side of things, but Surge of Strength is certainly a help. So we are on the hero side, so we'll do 1 action just to do this attack. Grab these dice here. Let's get rid of these ones for the moment. And we're looking for 5s or higher, and of course I can bump this result if I so choose. Oh my, that's pretty good. So 2 of them are gone off the hop. I don't think there's any reason to bump anything up because that would be an extreme waste of a wonderful card. So I'll probably just do 1 more attack. Oops, not all 3, just 2. And I also have the white die on my side. Good odds. So let's do this 1 more time. I only have 1 action left, which is unfortunate because I was hoping I'd be able to interact with the bystander, but let's just deal with the henchman first. So last action, flipping that over. See if we can do this. No. And I mean, I could burn I could burn 2 of these in order to make this a success. Kind of tempted to do it, to be honest, because I don't need to use these yellows for anything else. So I think even though this is not what I would typically do, I'm going to do it anyway, just so I can clear that area up as his turn is coming to an end. So that is that. All right, so that being over, we're now going to draw 2 cards, get another flying card, and another one. Nice. And then we'll take his discard pile, and we'll give it a flip, shuffle, ready to go for the next time. Okay, so we're going to pull a scheme card. We know what the scheme card is because we took a peek at it earlier. We've got 1 henchman, yellow, going to 17. And that is going to be right here. So we know from looking at this earlier, there's no overflow, so that's going to be nice. Bystander going to 17 as well. 1 henchman going to 26. That is red. That is getting very close. And then 1 blue going to 29. Now it's getting pretty full too. There's no blue villain, so that won't be happening. Personal task, draw and activate a personal task. So this one says, meet your wife at an important fundraiser event and perform the personal task at the Meg Conference Center. And I think that was the one we cleared. Yeah, that's really clear, except for a villain being there. We're going to go ahead and kick her off in her personal form. So again, we can move to anywhere we want. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and have Wraith actually use the limo to move here. And the reason I want to go here is not only to clear this up and go after a bystander token to potentially get a special card. It's also to go after these henchmen of different colors all kind of in one area. So I could really help with that, going after that new justice card for night patrol. So I'm going to move into here. And again, that movement was free from the limo. Now I'm going to flip this over so she's in her hero mode, and we're going to go ahead and attack these henchmen. And of course, we don't have to roll because they're blue, so they just all run away and scatter. So I'll place 1 of the blue henchmen on the justice card to denote we've got that 1 color covered. And then, of course, we're just going after the last ones. And we've also got that token to interact with, so we'll definitely go ahead and spend an action to do that. And we're going to grab a bystander card. And what do we get? We got Midwest Detective. So, heck, this town is more than I bargained for. Reward, look at the top scheme card. Discard it or place it back on top. Okay, well, I guess I get to look at this, which is nice. This one is a rapid healing, so henchmen are going to be going to 7. The mastermind's going to be going there as well. Or a token will be on there along with him. So that's going to be okay. It won't trigger anything. The 3 is going to trigger. That's bad. That will be an overflow. And the blue is going to... It must be right here. That's going to be okay. So I'm going to go ahead and choose to discard this one, as I don't want any overflows. I don't want the Baron heading there. It's just all... It's kind of bad, all in that middle section. So we're going to avoid that. And we also get to keep this card, but now we can discard both of these cards together in order to get a special. Nice. So we can go over here and grab a special, flip it over. We got police support. So the token's got to go. So this token goes back. We're free and clear at that location. So from the next action, I'm going to go ahead and spend that token in order to move. I'm going to move Wraith from her location into Old Seaport Museum. And we're going to go after these because she has a really strong mind. So we should be able to take these out fairly quickly. Let's see how this goes. We're looking for 3s or higher. And we got just the 1. Let's see. Do we have anything else that'll boost that? Maybe not. We could do this one more time. I think I will. So, because she has a really good roll, so chances are it'll be on our side this time. Just 1. Okay. Kind of whittling this down. I could go one more time with my last action, but it certainly wasn't the greatest. I will, because I can use some other cards to deal with henchmen to this side of me as well. So we'll go once more. Last action. There we go. 6. Okay, so that thing is out of here, cleared. And of course, one of them has to go on the card. Or at least I want it to go on the card, because this is going to move me towards my night patrol reward. Sure. And we'll grab 2 more cards. Hey, we got some more greens. That's good. Let's see what we get. So we have a blue henchman on 6. So we'll grab that and place it here. We also have a bystander token going there as well. We have 2 yellow henchmen going to 23. Okay. And then we've got 15 with 1 villain right in the center there. And then the green villain's going to move. So at this point, there's no special ability for him whatsoever. But sometimes some of these villains, like Freight Train, for instance, has a special ability like we talked about before. So in this case, the villain is going to move. And where are we here? That villain is hiding on me. There he is. So he's going to move to 15? No, yes, 15. It's not very far away. So the green villain moving to location number 15, when lands there, is going to grab a color that associates itself with him. So that is 1 green anarchy there, and also would do 2 damage to any heroes that are there, but there's no heroes, so nothing to worry about there yet. And that is going to be it. But we do have a running at a time card, so this is going to go into the stack with the other card we have over here. And again, if we hit 3 of these, this is going to move up the track by 1. So not yet, but it's getting. All right, and that is going to end race turns. We're coming over here to Legacy's turn, flipping him back over to personal. And once per turn, we can look at the scheme. So we're always going to do that to see what's coming next. We've got 1 henchman here going to 21. That's not a problem. We also got 2 going to 18. That's not a problem. And we've got 1 going to 24. It's also not a problem. And the green would go there too. That's actually not bad at all. So we'll keep that one. We're happy with that. That can stay on top. So what is around me that I could deal with? I could go after the bystander token. Is a pretty easy win. So let's do that. Get our first bystander. So again, this one is a token interaction. So I got to flip to my hero side to do that. ER Nurse. So let me patch that up for you. Reward, heal 2 damage, or refresh 2 exhausted action tokens. Well, I just used 1, so 1 can come back, and that's all I get. But I also get that icon. So working towards a special. So not bad. That was definitely worth it. And we are going to spend an action for that one. Well, he is going to fly down to the port, and then we're going to do some attacking. So we got the white die. We've got 3 henchmen in there, and we're looking for 3 or higher. 1, 2. Not bad. So we'll take those 2 off. I'm not going to bother. I guess I could. Let me think about this. I might want to actually raise one of these up. I could do a surge of strength. Yeah, let's do a surge of strength. We'll boost it up so that we can actually just wipe them all out. And then there's an anarchy token there, so let's deal with that. And it is red. And we got ourselves. Gonna load here for a second and it'll pop in. So this one says, a new street drug that grants temporary powers is creating chaos throughout the city. Roll 5 deaths, and we can definitely do our body then. Definitely doing that for Legacy. And we're going to try, even with just 2 successes, we can remove the anarchy token, and we also have a lot of other positive things that can happen too. So let's go ahead and roll those 5 dice. I got a good feeling we're going to be able to pull this off. So roll these. Oh, almost. So we got, oh no, that's enough. That's 3. You destroy the chemical factory, remove this anarchy token, and roll a die. So we'll take that token, put it back on the stack. We'll roll our die here. We'll take a white. See how we do. That was terrible. I saw that rolling as a 1 and it just spun in place. Remove that many red henchmen from the locations in the city. Yeah, that would have been nice to get a higher roll than that for sure. But I think this one makes the most sense. So we'll take that one away in here. So I might head over to the North Park Zoo because the yellow is getting very light. So on the henchman side of things, we'll do that. We'll send them all the way over here. And we're going to roll 3 yellow dice and do an attack. Get those dice. We'll see how this goes. All right. And I only ended up getting 1. Again, he's not the strongest with these ones. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my last action to fly. Take this flight card. So I'm doing a lot of flying this turn, but I'm going to get myself into the spot where I can deal with my personal task later on, right? When I go back in the future turn to my personal state. So that's that. And then we get to draw 2 more cards. We're hoping for green, and we did not get him this time. We might have to do a visit to the Freedom Tower maybe for him just to get that to progress. And then we're going to go with the scheme. So yellow, we've got yellow on 21. 21 is here. We've got a bystander coming out at 21. We've got 2 henchmen at 18. Where is he? Way up here. We've got a henchman at 24. And the green villain is not going to move because there's not 3 henchmen in that space for 24. Okay. So that is nice. Rapid healing. Each hero may either heal 1 damage or draw an ability card. We're definitely drawing ability cards for sure. There we go. That's nice. I actually stacked the wrong color in that space like this. That's a good one to get. The 2 and then a blue. Okay. So for Ray's turn, what we're going to do is make a push to go after the green villain. Got a lot of dice or a lot of cards to use for dice with the justice card and everything else. I also want to get Legacy into the same space. So using her personal limo ability, I'm going to get him moving from the Meg Center to the stock exchange. And then we're going to go ahead and have her flip over to her hero side, and she's going to use her grappling hook, which is a free action, to just move to an adjacent space. And technically, she'll end up using both of these anyway. To get her on the move. And we're going to move her from the old seaport to here and then over to here. And she's just one away, or she's actually two away at this point from that location. So we'll have to spend one move action, which is okay, worth it. And we'll get her over there. So one, or I guess in this case, it'll be two actions actually. So she'll go to Freedom Tower first. And then one more action will get her to that destination. But this is all worth it because we're going after green henchmen first, and her green dice are really strong. So this works out nicely. She'll make an attack here, spending an action, and we'll see whether or not she needs to use anything to help her. But with how many actions she's got, she should be able to pull this off. Famous last words. See. Okay, so we got one. All right. A little stressful. We could check to see if there's anybody that could help us to avoid her burning anything else. But really, the only other action, I only need to keep one action just to initiate the fight with the villain. So I can go ahead right now and just burn one more action to hope that the last die will get rid of the henchman. And then if I need a reroll or anything else, I can look to see if somebody else can help me. We'll see how this goes. No, it didn't land. Okay, so that is going to cause a problem. Let's take a quick look at this to see. Play during another hero's turn to enable them to reroll all their dice. So I could use that right now, and I think I will, because I still want to initiate this fight at this point in time. We're going to hope that this makes it work. I'm going to roll this really good to make sure it's... There we go. Yeah, we got it. So that green is out of here. And now we have access to actually initiate a fight, which is awesome. So the last action will be to do just that. So we are going to now commit our cards for both of our heroes, whoever we want to have involved. So for me, all of these are going to be committed. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 dice right there. So it will be a little bit more than we have dice available. So I'll probably grab a red in there. So that's 7 from that. Justice I could discard in order to get one additional die, which I'm going to do because I want to guarantee that this actually pans out. And then down here I have police support. This is a tough one because it is really helpful for its ability, but does give me an additional die. We're looking for how much damage here? 7 damage. So yeah, I think it's worth tossing this to get the additional die as well. So that is going to be as much as I can possibly get off her in terms of cards committed. And then over here for Legacy, he's got 2 cards that he can do here. And he's also got his white die, of course. So we'll just give him 2 red dice because we've run out of green. It's fine. And we'll put this in discard like that because those are gone. I mean, he will technically be able to keep these if she's able to do this all with one roll, which could potentially happen. So maybe we'll just leave these here for now, and we'll see if it ends up working out that way. So here we go. This is going to be quite the roll. So we need lots of damage. And a good thing is we're rolling on our mind here. So we have 3s and above. So we have a pretty decent chance of things working out. Oh my, that's a lot of damage. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's a ton. So yes, even though I committed these cards, I don't actually have to burn them, which is nice. So in terms of defense for the green villain, the defense states attacking heroes suffer 1 damage for each die roll resulting in 1. I don't have any, so we can skip past that. That was a really good roll that way. Counterstrike is only going to affect her and not Legacy. So in this case, it says attacking heroes suffer damage equal to the total number of heroes that are attacking +1. But I do have a card that I can use, and I've used this before. This one, the combat prowess one, I can use it for free. There's no action on it in order to stop any of that from happening. So essentially, this is the cleanest kill you could get from a villain in general. And of course, the villain is now defeated, so we can flip this over. And at this point, the only person gaining any rewards for being part of the fight is Wraith. So at this point, we have the same types of rewards for this villain as we did for the prior one. I definitely want to take the standee for sure, in order to kind of add to the fight later on. And we are also going to go ahead and decide what other one we want. And this is a tough choice. I think I might go with the ability cards this time, just to get her restocked as quickly as possible. So let's do that. Let's go 4 cards. And see what we get here. We got a couple. That's good. We got a double. And then the last thing that we have to do is deal with the damage that's going to hit the mobile defense platform. So we're going to go ahead and flip over another 7 damage. We're slowly ticking away. We've got 14 total damage on this thing. Okay, so at this point, the next thing we do is take a look at the comic, because the comic states right here, do not advance until you've defeated 2 villains or the mastermind track reaches 5. Chapter 2, Maximum Chaos. So there's a comic as you go through this entire thing that you can read and ties the whole thing together. And then now you can see that in chapter 2, the villain phase effects are listed out. There could be changes, so you want to make note of those changes. So here step 1 says active hero draws 2 abilities, so same as before that way. But now in step 2, it says draw 2 scheme cards, and the first card, you're going to do all the steps in the event. The second card, you're just doing step 1, and you're only performing the event if it's related to the mastermind tokens. And then the special rules stay mainly the same, except for the devious traps, which state when resolving a mastermind token, all die rolls of 1 result in a damage to the hero. So that's not good. We also have a side quest. So this is called Computer Glitch. So a strange signal is causing the Freedom 5 supercomputer to malfunction. Place a quest token on location 27 and 2, and then any hero can exhaust an action, discard an ability card while on these locations to take the quest token. All right, so just a note on the side quest side of things, you have 2 of them here, and again, based on this game having a comic book involved and side quests will pop out throughout the comic book as you move through scenarios. This matters more so when you're playing the final game, but the side quests will take you on different paths, and you only have access to them when they actually appear on the game board to interact with. If you choose not to interact with them, or you don't complete them, or you don't go forward with them, then you may and likely will not get a chance to ever see those again. So that's kind of part of the interesting thing with the game and progressing its side stories or side quests. It's up to you to go down those paths if you so choose, but you won't see them come back again. The other thing I want to make mention of is the fact I did spend the justice. I committed that card, so I shouldn't have it over here anymore. So I'm going to get rid of that. And also, when I picked the 4 ability cards, the reason I did that was because it matches the same color of the mastermind. So the whole purpose of this is me trying to, just like the villains, store up enough strength to make a ditch effort at going after Baron. But as we can see from the actual exit criteria for chapter number 2, we need to make sure we defeat 3 villains or the mastermind track reaches 8. So either we do something or the game's going to push us into it. So far on the mastermind track, we're doing great because it hasn't even moved. But we need to take out the last villain, which is Freight Train, is our next objective. And he is tough. We're going to need cards that can allow us to re-roll because his defense knocks our rolls down by 1. He's also constantly running around the map when he triggers and banging into people and hurting them. He's not exactly the most fun, and he's also the strongest of all the villains in terms of health. So lots to deal with. Okay, so the last thing we need to do for Wraith to end a turn is grab 2 scheme cards. So we're going to go ahead and pull the first one. We do everything on this one, and then we do only a line on the next one. And depending on how the bottom ability works out, only if it's specific to Mastermind. So in this case, we got another running out of time card. So we're doing the whole thing here. We're doing a green henchman at location number 12. So that is going to be up here. We're safe there for now. We also have a bystander showing up in 12. We have 2 henchmen at 13. That is going to cause a problem and an overflow for the first time in the game. So basically, when I place or try to place that 4th henchman into a location, you can't actually do that. 3 is the max you can have in one spot. But when you are told to place a henchman in a spot with 3 on your 4th one, you then take it and put it with the matching individual. So in this case, the yellow matches with Baron. So it's going to be placed on Baron. And then the overflow is going to occur, which is going to place the same color henchman, 1 of each, on all adjacent locations. Now, the reason this is bad is because now my entire yellow workers are all depleted. So at this point, if I don't have any more workers to actually place, then we're going to be moving into a situation where overflows are going to start cascading down to a mastermind token coming out. And there's only so many of those as well. So that's where things get a little bit tricky, is trying not to make those overflows occur too often. This is the first time it's happened, but it really can progress quite aggressively as the game goes on if you don't manage it well. Okay, so the next thing to mention as part of what I just explained is the fact that when you can't place a henchman anymore and there's an overflow, then you go to the anarchy tokens that match that same color and place one of those instead. But you'll notice throughout the entire playthrough, there hasn't been any yellow anarchy tokens because the yellow corresponds to the mastermind. So in that case, you then move to why I mentioned the actual mastermind tokens are what's next to come out on the board. So that's where things can really cascade, because if you have an empty space like we do here with the yellow, it's now jumping ahead a bit and making things a little bit worse for you. So at this point in time, we've kind of finished off all of the overflow in this area, which has gotten really busy. All right, so first off here for the third row, we've got a henchman going at 26, and then we have the villain activating. You can see from Freight Train's ability, when he moves the shortest path, but he's moving to 26, so he's not actually moving anywhere. So his ability actually states if he doesn't deal any damage, because he didn't actually move to hit anybody, then he is going to place a second anarchy token here, and he already places one here anyway for just activating. So 2 tokens are going to show up in this location, which is even more nasty. And then on top of that being bad, we also have the third running out of time card showing up, and we care about this because it mentions the mastermind tokens on the bottom. This because we don't actually have 3 mastermind tokens in play. So if we don't, we place this card next to the mastermind track. If there's ever 3 of them, which there is, discard all 3 of these and advance the mastermind track by 1. This jumps to 3, and all 3 of these cards can go into the discard pile. So drop those in like that. So next up, we're going to pull the second card for the scheme. And we're only doing the top row here, and then whatever the bottom states, as long as it mentions mastermind, which doesn't. So really, we're just doing the top row here. So 2 blue henchmen are going to 19. 19 is the Freedom Tower. Finally got some action going on up there as well. And that is going to be it. And that's going to conclude that turn. All right, so we're beginning Legacy's turn here, but one thing I want to make mention of is the fact that you have a couple different options in terms of how you go about winning this game. Of course, I could go and take out Freight Train here, which would then impact the amount of health overall that Baron has in total. Right now, Baron has a total of 6 on his card, plus 1 for the meeple that's on it, so it's 7. And then there's an additional 6 still left on the tower. So there's 13 that I have to actually get through. Based on the cards that my heroes have, I have a decent amount of yellow dice, not as many as I need probably to make a gamble at going after him. But you can make you can basically initiate a battle with Baron at any time. You just want to make sure that you're ready to win, because it's a one shot to win the game or lose the game. There's no coming back from that. If I go down the path of chasing the third villain and progressing the story that way, the bonus with that is I would take out the Freight Train. I would take a bit to maybe work him through and actually kill him, and then I would get 7 damage against the defense platform, which obviously reduces how much I need to deal to Baron. Could make things easier, but it also draws the game with just a little extra. And the interesting thing is trying to determine, based on maybe the ability cards in your hand, which way is the best to go. Looking at my hand right now for red cards, it's not very strong, so I'm leaning more towards going straight against the Baron. So we're going to start off Legacy's turn by kind of moving his action stuff over like normal, and probably heading back to the tower to see if we can get, lucky enough to get some more yellow cards to help us out. And maybe on the way back to the tower, we can also deal with some of the yellow so that it doesn't also beef up Baron from the overflow as well. So maybe we'll take kind of a long way around approach. I was thinking of directly going to Freedom Tower, but maybe what we'll do is we'll jump up and into the North Park Zoo. The only downside to this is that, again, Legacy is not very strong on taking out yellow at all. So that's kind of the tough decision to make. So the first thing I'm going to do with Legacy here is we're going to interact with, of course, with his personal abilities to check out the scheme to see whether or not this is going to be... Oh, that's nice. So we definitely want to keep that on top. So that is going to stay right there. So next up, what I'm thinking of doing is having him head over to the North Park Zoo, but instead of burning some actions, I'm going to flip him over to his hero side at this point, and I'm going to use Flying Smash, this card here. It's going to cost me an action, so I'll burn 1 token for that. And it basically allows me to play as an action to move to any location and deal 1 damage to all the henchmen, villains, mastermind, and other heroes if they're there, and then add an anarchy token. So we'll go ahead and fly him over to the yellow. The reason I'm doing this, again, is to try to mitigate or at least reduce the chances of yellow henchmen ending up on his tile to boost his health, which nobody wants to see. So we'll remove these 3 henchmen. We also got to grab an anarchy token, but at least I can choose in this case. So I'm going to go with blue because that's the highest stack we got available. And we've now, if I'm looking at this correctly, finished Flying Smash. So now that that's clear, we can just move our way over to Freedom Tower with a move action. And we are going to do some training. So 1 move and 1 to train. This is going to allow us to grab 3 cards. We're going to hope that we get some things we need. There's 1 yellow. That's good. All right, so we got a little bit of everything there. That's good. We still got at least 1. And another flight, which is handy. So now that we're at the Freedom Tower, we've gone ahead and we've trained. We do have some henchmen that are there. The henchmen don't impede our ability to train, which is nice, but we still want to deal with them. So we'll go ahead and just spend an action here. And again, because they're blue and we've dealt with the villain that corresponds with them, they just run away and scatter. So it's a very nice resolve, quick and dirty. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to use our last action in order to do a bolster allies, which is going to allow me to play, and all heroes, including you, can heal 1 damage or draw on a card. So I can draw a card, and so can my friend over here. And there's no healing necessary, so we're definitely going for yellow. We didn't get it, but we're going to continue doing things like that. Bolster allies could come in really handy, maybe on a future turn to get some more cards, but that's going to be it. And we do get to grab, of course, 2 more cards right now for ending off his turn. Look at that. We got some more bolstering of the allies, so we might be doing a lot of that next turn. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and scheme. So we'll pull the top card off. We know what it is because we saw this when we looked. It's Justice Rules the Night. We're supposed to pull 2, but as it shows at the bottom of the card, draw no more cards at all. So we stop right there, which is really nice. It's going to give us a break for a bit. And at this point now we can move over to Wraith. We're going to have to figure out exactly what Wraith is going to do to be as productive as possible as we try to go after likely the Baron and maybe get some more cards in her hand. So right to begin her turn's got all of her action tokens here. We're going to flip her over to her personal side to start. She wants to use this ability in order to move. The major thing I'm trying to accomplish here is I'm trying to get down into this area. I also really want to pull more cards. I'm trying to mitigate all the potential overflow, plus also get more yellow cards for an upcoming battle with the Baron. So we'll go ahead and shoot her to Montgomery Industries, where we know that she can do some training there. So she can pull 5 cards. So we'll spend an action now in her personal state too. All right, so 5 cards off the deck. We're hoping to see yellows. There's 1. There's a red, another yellow, red, and a red. Okay, so we got to choose which color we want. So we're going to go with yellows, obviously, as we're pushing more towards that route, although having the reds would be nice. We're not going to take them. Throw those away. Grab 2 yellows. So now we got a nice stack of dice if we want to go after the Baron, which is good. So next thing we want to do is we want to move over to this location down here, the yellow. Again, if we can mitigate the chances of any yellow landing here, plus also help with our night patrol by taking out some henchmen, that's a plus for her. So we're going to go ahead and use 1 action in order to move. That will get us to where we need to go. And then with 2 henchmen here, we're going to try to deal with them, being that we're really strong in tech. So we're hoping that we'll be able to pull this off.
Hero.
And we're going to go into hero mode. And we'll go ahead and roll this off. There we go. That is 2. So the henchmen are out of here. It's great. Okay, so for my next action, I'm going to take a look at this bystander token. So to interact with it, we got to spend 1 action. Flip that over, and we're going to go to the bystander deck. Flip this over. We got a paramedic, 1 icon. It says, "Tell me what you need. I'll help you in any way I can. Reward: heal 1 damage or refresh 1 exhausted action token." So that's actually pretty good because I don't have any damage to heal, so I'm definitely taking the action back. I also will keep this here because the icon could be useful to get a special later. So let's do that. Put this over here. And now we're going to move up into the complex. We got to spend an action to do that. So one we just got back. Jumping over here, we got some henchmen in here that are yellow. We're really strong against yellow. So we also kind of want to get some henchmen on our night patrol. So this is worth it. So we're rolling right now to see if we can pull this off. Oh yeah, easy. So those 2 are out of here. There's 1 on the card down here. So we're almost ready to complete night patrol. So we have to go ahead and exhaust that action for the attack we just did. And now we're going to go ahead and use a smoke bomb. It says, play to rescue a bystander even if henchmen are present. This basically is a free action, which is why it's worth using right now, because I get this bystander immediately. So take this token, put it away. And what do we have? Frightened citizens. And we got 2 icons on this one. So we have a total of 3. Frightened citizens, please don't leave us until the cops arrive. The penalty is you must exhaust 1 action or end your turn waiting for the police. So that works perfectly because we're already done our turn. So I'm good with that. In terms of discarding cards, we'll discard this one because it's for 2 icons to get ourselves a special. Add this to our pool down here. Nice. We got Tactical Strike. That's good. 2 extra dice. I think we're getting into a pretty good position now on the dice side of things. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and we're really close on this one, but 9 on 1 hero is pretty good. On top of what we got over here for legacy with 1 die, 2, 3, like it's not bad. We're in a range that could be useful to do. So This is discarded. So I guess at this point now what we'll do is we'll quickly just flip the deck over and do a shuffle so we're ready for the next time. The new deck is now in position. Her turn is over and she gets to draw 2 cards. So I mean, if we're even more lucky, we might actually see some more cards come out of this pool, hopefully. Grappling hook. No, so 2 grappling hooks. But we do have a large majority of yellow cards here, so the odds are probably pretty slim. After the draw, you'll notice that I have 13 cards. It's fine to be over the limit of 12 during your turn, but at the end of your turn, if you have 13 cards sitting, you need to discard down to that 12 limit. So I have to discard at least 1 card here or to be at that 12 limit. So I'll take a strike from the shadows because we have a whole bunch of them. And we'll toss it over here. And we definitely don't want to get rid of any of the grappling hooks or yellow, as they're very useful. So that's going to be it for race turn at this point. And the last thing we need to do for the turn is villain phase. So scheme is coming off, and we've already done part of the villain phase by drawing cards up. And now justice rules the night. Look at that. So we have a free pass, and we don't have to draw any more cards, just like you saw from before. So that's a bonus. And now we're even in better shape to go after the villain, as we don't have to deal with anything on the board. So now we're going to come over to Legacy's turn. So I'll just do his quick initial setup here as we kind of give him back his tokens, flip it back into personal mode. And now we got to decide what we're going to do for action. Okay, so first thing we're doing is the scheme card. So we've got people showing up at 2, 30, and 23. So looking at the board here, 2's fine, 30's fine, 23 is fine as well for 1. So we're not going to have any overflow, so I'm okay with leaving that one on top. We'll go with that. We're also in our personal mode with Legacy. We're at the Freedom Tower, so we definitely want to try and train. You always want to try and do that when you get a chance, if you have the actions, because it might give you cards you need, like that. Fortitude, there's 1. Inspiring Presence is another. Last one, Surge of Strength, nice. So we are definitely sitting pretty good with yellow now. I think we're pretty good. So if that's the case, we could definitely lean towards our initial plan, which is to head to Baron directly. But we want to make sure we can actually bring heroes into the fight with us. So we currently have our other hero sitting here at the complex. So in order to get that hero to where Baron currently is, we're going to have to do a move action to get down there. And the reason I'm thinking of doing that is because he's always got these flight cards that seem to show up in my hand that allow me to carry a hero wherever I want, which means I could just move there, grab her, and we could both head over to the bridge. So that seems like the logical thing to do. So we'll do 2 for a movement. That's just a regular one. Now we'll do another action for a flight. This card is going to get burnt, and we can carry both of our heroes to initiate a battle. We're going to have to, again, spend an action to actually start that battle. And now we get to commit our cards. All right, so just before we commit our cards, I do want to mention the fact that Baron Blade right now has 13 health. So that's what we're looking to get. But the nice thing is when we took out the villains as an option, which I chose to do, was take the standee. And in this scenario, it specifically gives you 2 damage towards the mastermind when you're actually going after him at the end. So basically by having these 2 standees here, we've already got essentially 4 hits against him. So the 13 really becomes 9. So we need to get 9 in order to take him out. The other thing I want to mention is the fact that if I'm committing cards for the attacker here, or Legacy, he's really bad at rolling yellow dice. So in order to kind of mitigate that a little bit, rather than spending all of these to get as many dice as possible and hoping to get 5s and 6s, I'm instead going to just take and maybe spend the top 2 cards to get 3 dice. So we'll bring like 3 yellow dice in. I'll commit these, so I'll discard them. And I'm going to hold on to the bottom 2 because it'll allow me to kind of bump the dice that I do have up. And of course, I'm obviously going to be flipping over to my hero side in this particular case to do the battle itself. And that gives me that white die. So now we've got 4 dice and the chance to bump them up. We're looking at 5s. So we probably won't get many, but the Surge of Strength should bail us out. Famous last words. Let's see how this goes. All right, that was a pretty bad roll overall, but with the 2 surges of strength that I have, that will bump my 3s up to 5s. So we do get 2 hits at least. That's not terrible, not exactly the best roll in the world, but it's better than nothing. So we'll go ahead and put, I guess at this point, we'll kind of keep track of the 9 damage maybe separately. We'll just put knowing that it's a total of 9 left on him, we'll just put 9 damage on his card and no longer worry about this. So we'll go ahead and put our 2 hits against him. So we now need only 7. Now, technically, I should have committed all of Ray's cards when the battle commenced, but knowing that this is a one-shot to win the game, you're going to throw everything that you have at the villain to try to win. So there's no reason I wouldn't commit every single card I have that can help me. So at this particular time, that would be this one down here for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's a lot of dice. So we're going to need to borrow some dice. So we'll just kind of keep a pool over here. 3, grab the other 3 yellow, and we'll grab maybe like 3 red, add in pile. And we'll see whether we can pull this off. Now, the good thing is, too, is we also have the ability to use a lot of the re-rolls and things like that that Legacy has. So if we get into a tough spot with rolls, we have the ability to re-roll our shot here. So this is going to be interesting because she does have a really good chance of landing a lot of hits with 3. So I'm really hoping this pans out. And if it doesn't, we're re-rolling a bunch of stuff. So here we go. All right, so we ended up getting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think, wow, we might have gotten it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, yeah, we got it. That's it. That's game. That is all I need. I didn't need any rerolls whatsoever. So that is enough. That would put more damage on the Baron than he can actually handle. No defensive ability, but activates his translunar cannon upon attack. Attacker suffers 1 damage for each active villain. All these things would no longer apply when the mastermind's actually defeated, as the game immediately ends. So as a result of beating the Baron, you go to the back of the comic book that you're playing. In this case, you got the victory listed right there. It says, with the Baron unconscious, the Freedom 5 deactivates the Terra Lunar Beam Cannon. The battle was grueling, but they had managed to narrowly prevent the destruction of Earth. The team races off to the island prison known as the Block to deposit the mastermind. It's going to take a while to repair the damage to the city, but at least Megalopolis is safe, at least for now. So at this point, you'd actually be able to open up what's called a rewards packet, number 1. And of course, during this prototype, we don't have that packet, but those are the kind of things that are going to be nice hidden things that you'll be able to unlock through rewards. And also, you're going to want to reference any side quests you may have completed. Of course, in this particular case, I wanted to gun-ho and go after the mastermind to win it, but I didn't interact with any side quests or progress any of them. So I wouldn't get any of the benefits from this area, and obviously we didn't lose, so we don't have to deal with the defeat conditions. And then from that point on, you continue forward. And that's going to wrap up this Kickstarter preview for Freedom 5 from Arcane Wonders. The game is currently running on Kickstarter until November 13th. If you want to find out more information, you can go there. I have links to that in the description as well as the pinned comment. I also want to give a big thank you to Robert Geislinger for showing up and being able to catch anything as I went through this playthrough with you, showing you the game flow and how the mechanisms work within this one. This really has some awesome synergies with the heroes while you're playing, as you saw on many occasions, to take down the villains and ultimately the mastermind. Thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, keep on rolling solo.